Hello everyone! So after getting platinum for all of the secondaries in Modern Warfare, it was time to move on to the primaries, starting with the assault rifles. Like I've previously done with the launchers and the handguns, in this video I'm going to be giving some help and my thoughts on unlocking platinum assault rifles. I imagine due to how many assault rifles there are, this is going to be the longest weapon class guide video I'll do, so if you just want to skip to a specific area of the video, there'll be timestamps in the description below. The assault rifles are a class somewhere in the middle of the other classes. They are heavier and less mobile than SMGs, but they have a better damage range, and they are lighter and more mobile than LMGs, but they have worse damage range than them. Assault rifles typically specialise in mid to long range gunfights due to their consistent fire rate and generally low recoil. However, they can also hold their own in close quarters gunfights. Each assault rifle can generally be summarised into one of three categories. There's the high fire rate assault rifles, like the M4A1, Kilo 141 and M13, that have the lowest amount of recoil and are forgiving if you miss a shot or two, however these guns do the least amount of damage per bullet. Then there's the slower firing full auto rifles like the Odin, the AK-47 and the FN Scar 17 that have a decent amount of recoil and aren't very forgiving if you miss a shot or two, so you typically have to hit all of your shots if you want that kill. However, these guns do more damage per bullet compared to the previously mentioned higher fire rate guns. Then there are the two assault rifles that aren't full auto. The FAL, which is a semi-automatic rifle, and the FR556, which is a burst rifle. The Kilo 141 is a fully automatic rifle with a solid damage output and very controllable recoil. It has a base magazine of 30 rounds, which is standard for assault rifles. The Kilo is typically a 4 to 5 shot kill in core modes and a 2 shot kill in hardcore modes. The FAL is a semi-automatic rifle, so if you have a good trigger finger, you'll be heavily rewarded with this gun. It's got a base magazine capacity of 20 rounds, which isn't as much as the majority of ARs, but considering the much higher damage per bullet with this gun, it balances out. The FAL is a 2 shot in core and a 1 shot in hardcore. The M4A1 is a fully automatic rifle with the second highest fire rate out of all the rifles you have to do for Damascus. It's a very well rounded gun, typically being a 4 shot kill in core and a 2 shot kill in hardcore, and having very controllable recoil. It also has a base magazine capacity of 30 rounds, which is standard for ARs. The FR556, better known as the FAMAS, is a burst rifle firing bursts of 3 rounds. It has a base ammo capacity of 30 rounds and it is a 2 burst kill in core modes and a 1 burst kill in hardcore modes. However, something that a lot of people don't realise is that if you switch this gun to semi-auto mode, it's a 1 shot kill in hardcore, and if you use it like this, it can not only compete in hardcore, but it can completely dominate. The Odin is a fully automatic rifle, but it is the slowest firing assault rifle with a fire rate that is half of the M4A1. However, it is extremely close to the FAL for having the highest damage per bullet out of all the assault rifles, being a 2 shot kill in core and a 1 shot kill in hardcore. It's also the slowest AR, having the worst aim down sight speed and movement speed. While the visual recoil can look a bit distracting, the recoil is actually pretty good with the Odin. It has a base ammo capacity of 20 rounds, which, similar to the FAL, isn't too bad due to its damage per bullet. The M13 is a fully automatic rifle with the highest fire rate out of all the assault rifles, and it almost has no recoil with the right attachments. It is typically a 5 shot kill in core modes and a 2 to 3 shot kill in hardcore. It has a base ammo capacity of 30 rounds, which wouldn't be as bad with the other faster firing assault rifles like the M4 and the Kilo, but with the insane fire rate that the M13 has, you burn through those mags very quickly and you should nearly always be using an extended mag with this gun. The FN Scar 17, better known as just the Scar, is a fully automatic rifle, being more on the slow firing side. It is a 3 shot kill in core modes and a 1 shot kill in hardcore modes. It has a decent amount of recoil, which some may find hard to control, and has a base capacity of 20 rounds. Unlike the FAL and the Odin, where they have a low mag size but they are a 2 shot kill, so it's not that bad, the Scar is a 3 shot kill, so 20 rounds is not a lot of rounds to have in one mag. And finally, the AK-47. Easily the most iconic and recognisable assault rifle here, is a fully automatic rifle, being on the slower firing side like the Scar, and also like the Scar, the recoil isn't very easy to control, so some people may have the issue hitting their shots with it, but you should be good if you follow Ninja's advice.
Just hit your shots, kid. It's quite simple. Do you want to get good? Yes, Ninja, I want to get good, then hit your shots, kid. Last time I checked, oh yeah, you didn't hit your shots. Have fun in the lobby.
It's normally a 3 shot kill in core and a 1 shot kill in hardcore, and has a base ammo capacity of 30 rounds, which is pretty solid considering its lower fire rate. Do keep in mind that the Ram 7, Grau 556, CR56 AMAX, AN94 and AS-VAL are not necessary to gold in order to get platinum for assault rifles, as they are all DLC weapons. As for the best order to do assault rifles, I'd recommend starting with the Kilo 141 to familiarise yourself with the feel of ARs, because it's a gun that is just decent at everything. Then move on to the slower firing guns like the Odin, the Scar, the FAMAS and the AK, then use the FAL, and finally finish out with the faster firing ARs, which you'll generally do the best with. the M13, and finally the M4A1. The loadout that you're going to want to run for getting platinum ARs is for your primary, use whatever AR you're on obviously. For your secondary, I'd recommend using a launcher if you haven't already platinum launchers and you're getting kill streaks passively. Or you can also use a pistol or a knife to switch to so you can move faster around the map when there's no enemies near you. For perks, for perk 1 I mainly use cold blooded so I don't have to worry about lock on kill streaks shooting at me, but if you're a very aggressive player, quick fix or EOD is the best for perk 1. For perk 2, Ghost is best to stay off the radar on UAVs and personal radars, and for perk 3, Battle Hardened is definitely the best so you're not as impacted by stuns or flashes. For your tactical, use a stim so you can heal yourself, and for your lethal, use a Molotov so you can deny areas that are out of your sight. As for the best attachments for ARs, for every camo except headshot kills, hipfire kills, longshot kills and mounted kills, and obviously no attachment kills, these attachments are the best for playing aggressive. However, you won't be able to use these attachments all the time and get the best results for each camo challenge. You're going to have to change the attachments you have on your gun to get the best results in different camo challenges. For the Dragon Camo challenge, which requires you to get hipfire kills, you should use the 5mm laser, Merc foregrip, stippled grip tape, the shortest barrel, and no stock or a collapsible stock if the AR you are on allows it. This will give you extremely good hipfire for an AR and you'll easily be able to get hipfire kills at close to medium range. For the Woodland, Splinter and Topo camo challenges, which require you to get headshot kills, longshot kills and mounted kills respectively, you're going to want to maximise bullet velocity, recoil control and damage range. So run the monolithic suppressor, the longest barrel, ranger foregrip, an optic of your choice. I'd recommend using a thermal optic to make it easier to see enemies, but this is up to you, and a tac laser to give you better aim down sight speed because all of these attachments heavily slow down your ADS. So before I get into the camo challenges, the first thing you're going to want to do for each AR is to level it up. Since assault rifles are so versatile and have so many different attachments, the max level of each AR is generally in the high 60s, which is the highest out of all the weapon classes, and therefore the assault rifles take the longest to level up. If you've saved any double weapon XP tokens, this is the time to use them, and don't be afraid to use your 1 hour tokens, because it really will take that long to level the ARs up. It's not necessary to level up your AR to the max as soon as possible, because you're still going to be leveling it up when you're getting kills for the camo challenges. Speaking of getting kills, the way to get the most kills with the majority of ARs is by playing hardcore. You can definitely use the ARs and do very well in normal core, but in hardcore you're just going to be getting kills much faster, which is going to be better. Assault rifles such as the FAL, the Odin, the AK, the Scar and the FAMAS are all one shots in hardcore, which comes in very handy in certain camo challenges, which I'll discuss later. So it's just overall in your best interest to play hardcore. I know getting team kills is really annoying, but there's no AR that you will do better in core than in hardcore, so I'd highly recommend to play in hardcore modes. And for the past few months, Shoot the Ship has been up, and you should be playing that if you want the most kills. Okay, now moving on to the actual camo challenges. Firstly, spray paint. This is just getting 800 kills, which might sound a bit intimidating at first, but you're going to get this camo completed passively while going for the other camos, and you really don't have to focus on it. Next is Woodland, and this is getting 125 headshot kills. Again, this challenge is done passively. You'll tend to get a lot of headshot kills without even realising it. However, if this is the last camo you're on and you have to actively try to get headshots, I'd recommend going into Hardcore Shoe House and mounting on the head glitch in the middle. The only part of the enemy that will show up is their head and a bit of their chest, so 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that easy headshot. For digital, this is getting 160 crouching kills, and for this one I like to crouch slide when I'm moving around corners, but the counting for the slide kills is a bit inconsistent, so try to make sure that you're in a still crouch rather than in the sliding motion when you get the kill. And also, whenever you're about to get a free kill, like if someone isn't looking at you or they're AFK, take that extra moment you have to just crouch before getting the free kill. For Dragon, this is getting 75 hipfire kills, and I like to pair this with the previously mentioned crouching challenge, because you get tighter hipfire spread when crouching. Also, make sure to use the attachments that I mentioned earlier in the video. The 5mm laser, Merc foregrip, stipple grip tape, the shortest barrel, and no stock or a collapsible stock if the AR you are on has it. Combine these attachments with crouching and you can get a very decent hipfire spread and should be able to finish this camo challenge in only around 2 games. Next up is Splinter and Topo, which is 100 longshot kills and 100 mounted kills respectively. The reason I'm joining these two together is because you should be doing both of them at the same time. The best way to do this is by going into Hardcore Shootouts and again mounting up on the wall in the middle and shooting the enemies on the other side. By the way, this doesn't just apply to ARs. If you kill an enemy that's on one side of the head glitch from the other side of the head glitch in Shoe House, it will always be a long shot with every weapon in the game. Again, you're going to want to change up your attachments for these camo challenges to increase damage range, recoil control and bullet velocity. So use the monolithic suppressor, the longest barrel, ranger foregrip, an optic of your choice and a tack laser. This is one of the situations where the faster time to kill in hardcore is really going to benefit you, because if you did exactly what I've said so far, but in core instead of hardcore, you could get 1, 2, 3, even 4 shots on some ARs, and it still will not get that kill, and by then the person you were shooting at could have ran away and you wouldn't have even gotten the kill, whereas in hardcore, it's going to be 1 or 2 shots to kill the enemy, and they have almost no time to escape. Also, if no one is picking the head glitch and shoe house in the middle, here's another great spot for getting mounted and longshot kills. For Tiger, this is getting 180 kills with all attachments, and this is another camo you're going to easily get passively. Just make sure you have all 5 attachments equipped on your AR. For Stripes, this is getting 50 kills shortly after reloading, and for this, put on the sleight of hand weapon perk which reduces your reload time, and I'd recommend doing this while you're getting the mounted and longshot kills, because you're going to have a bit of time in between kills to get that quick reload in. Another way of doing this is to just reload whenever you're about to turn a corner where you know enemies will be. For Reptile, this is getting 110 kills with no attachments, and just make sure you don't have any attachments on, and I'd recommend going into Hardcore Shipment because that's better than Shoe House for just getting raw kills. And finally for Skulls, this is getting 35 3 kill streaks, and this one is really annoying, but I just recommend playing really aggressive until you get that second kill, and then you sort of have to play like a bit of a rat and stay in a corner until someone walks by to get that easy third kill. I know it's not a nice feeling to play that way, but the amount of times I've had 2 kills and been on the verge of getting that third kill only to get killed is way too much, so this is the best way of doing it. This is just a little tip in hindsight from me. I'd very highly recommend passively trying to get blue dot on your hollow optics or blue dot on your reflex optics, or just trying to get any reticle you want while doing ARs, because you're going to get thousands of kills while going for ARs, and the challenges for getting reticles is just getting kills and headshot kills with certain optics, so it's not like you have to go out of your way to do 2 different challenges at once. You're going to do these reticle camo challenges very passively, and it's just a way of being more productive with your kills. You don't have to do this, but if there's any reticle you've ever wanted to get, now is the best time to do it to save you from the pain of having to actively go for them. As for my personal thoughts on getting platinum assault rifles, it was an interesting experience. It was a pretty big change going from handguns to assault rifles, because handguns are the class that take the least amount of time by far, and ARs are the class that take the most amount of time to do by far. And that contrast was definitely very noticeable, particularly at the start. The ARs were the first primaries that I platinumed, and my plan so far has been to go from worst to best, but I think after getting platinum for all of the secondaries, I deserved a bit of a treat. There are lots of ARs like the AK, the Odin, the FAMAS and the Scar that I'd barely touched, and it was interesting using some of them. Not particularly fun all the time, but interesting. I was even surprised to really enjoy some of the guns like the FAL and the AK, and I'll definitely use them in future. With the handguns, I felt very confident from close to mid-range, but once you start to stretch the ranges out, then they became a bit weaker. What I loved about the ARs though was that I felt confident in close, medium and long range. ARs are just so versatile that there isn't a lot of situations where I wish I had another gun instead of an AR. It's also a good feeling to know that apart from the AN94, I have every Modern Warfare AR fully leveled up, and if I ever wanted to use one of them in Warzone or multiplayer, I'd be able to with all of the attachments I want. As for my thoughts on each assault rifle, the M13 was the second gun I golded way back in January, and since then I've even got an obsidian for it. This gun is my baby. Little to no recoil, high fire rate, so it's very forgiving if you miss a shot or two, and it shreds through people. While it's probably not the best AR, it's definitely one of, if not my favourite AR to use. I properly started going for assault rifles with a kilo, and I don't know how I didn't have this gun leveled up earlier, with it being so good in Warzone for so long, but I found it to be alright in multiplayer. It has a slower fire rate than the M4, and yet it doesn't seem to do a lot more damage per bullet. I can't find one thing about the kilo that's better than the M4 or the M13 though. I think it's more of like an all-rounder type of gun, but it was solid overall. I decided to use an interesting gun next, and this was the FR556 or the FAMAS. This is by far the worst gun in normal core modes. The burst was just way too inconsistent. Sometimes it's a 1 burst kill, and other times it takes 3 bursts to kill someone. However, while using this gun, I remembered about an exclusive Ace video that I watched a while back, where he said that the FAMAS was one of the best guns to use in hardcore if you use the semi-auto mode, and for once the semi-auto button actually comes in handy. In hardcore, this thing one-taps, and it becomes sort of like a slightly less spammy foul, and I was really surprised that I actually enjoyed this gun a lot. After the FAMAS, I moved on to the SCAR, and it wasn't horribly bad, but it still was by no means a great gun. Everything about it is just so slow. It's got slow movement speed, a slow aim down sight speed, a slow fire rate, and it felt more like an LMG than an assault rifle. Although one thing it certainly did not have in common with an LMG was its magazine capacity. 20 rounds by default, and it can only expand up to 30, which just isn't great for a fully automatic weapon. And to make things worse, for the last few camo challenges I had to do, the shoot the shit playlist wasn't working, so I had to get headshots in the other maps, which was not a very fun experience to say the least. The only redeeming quality about this gun is that it one-shots in hardcore, which admittedly is very nice to have. Then I started on the AK, and this was a gun that I almost never used before, so I was really curious with how I'd get on with it, but I ended up loving it, and it became one of my favourite ARs. It's got an alright fire rate, it one-shots in hardcore while still managing to be fairly mobile, and just aesthetically, the AK-47 is one of the nicest looking guns to ever exist. Really love this gun. After using the AK, I moved on to the Odin, and I was actually pretty excited to use this gun because I have a sick looking blueprint for it, and everyone says that the Odin is really slept on for multiplayer, but this gun took all the slow elements of the SCAR that I just mentioned and increased them by about tenfold. The fire rate was diabolical. If you miss one shot in a gunfight, you're pretty much dead. Worst AR by a country mile, don't at me. After getting all the bad ARs out of the way, the FAL was the next gun I used. I leveled this thing up quite a bit a few months back, and I really like this gun. It's a semi-auto gun, and since I have a pretty decent trigger finger, it was a match made in heaven pretty much straight away. I could spam with it up close, and I could also be really accurate with it at longer ranges, making long shots and headshots a breeze. Finished out with the old reliable M4. I already had this gun leveled up, thank god, because having to level that thing all the way up to 71 would not be a great way to end ARs. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed with its performance in normal core. It didn't beam people as much as I remember it doing. But maybe that's just because I was so used to having such a quick time to kill with all the ARs in hardcore, and the time to kill in core just felt slow in comparison. It was very good in hardcore, and since I used this gun a lot in Warzone, I had very little left to do with it. If I were to rank the ARs in order from worst to best, it would go Odin way down at the bottom, then the SCAR, the Kilo, the FAMAS, the AK, the M4, the FAL, and on top it's gotta be my baby M13. I just can't say anything bad about that gun. So yeah, assault rifles have been platinumed. I enjoyed the assault rifles. Most of the ARs felt different and powerful in their own way. I enjoyed them, but in a way I'm also really glad that they're out of the way. The amount of kills you have to get for each of the camo challenges is way more than the other guns, and it got pretty exhausting towards the end, and it's a good feeling knowing that every other class will take shorter now. I'm onto the sniper rifles and marksman rifles now, and at the time of scripting this video, I'm only one camo challenge away from getting platinum on them, so expect a video on them coming soon. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I could help you or you found enjoyment out of it in some way. If you did, please give it a like, and if you didn't, please give it a dislike and tell me why in the comments. If you've gotten platinum or are currently trying to get platinum on assault rifles, I'd be very interested to know how you find them in the comments below. If you want to keep up with me and how the Damascus grind is going, I posted a lot about it on my Instagram at RombarkYT if you'd like to give it a follow. That's it from me, thanks again for watching, and take care of yourselves.